Diversity, it might be what's holding your team back, and you may not know it yet and may not know how to solve it. For that reason, I'm really excited to tell you that Data Futurology has established a partnership with She Loves Data, and we're doing a series dedicated on improving diversity in your organization, in your teams, in your workplace, so you can get the most value out of your teams, out of your data, and create products that the market really wants. Tune in every week as we speak with executives and female leaders from all over the world on how they have targeted and improved the diversity on their teams, and you can find out what we can learn from them.
We are thrilled as a She Loves Data to be part of the Futurology podcast, where we will showcase some female leaders, but the leaders from tech industry, and we will be talking about strategies, about data, about biases, and about diversity. Join us.
I wanted to say a big thank you to our sponsors. One of our sponsors is Shine Solutions Group. Shine Solution Group is a technology consultancy that has been empowering their enterprise and government partners with pragmatic technology solutions for over 20 years. Learn more at shinesolutions.com. Also, a big thank you to SAS, giving you the power to know. Through innovative software and services, SAS empowers and inspires data advocates around the world to transform data into intelligence. Committed to diversity, did you know about the Women in Analytics network that they have? It's a SAS-sponsored networking program aimed to strengthen diversity in the analytics field. Check it out in the show notes below. They're definitely committed to it as they're helping us with this diversity series too. I also would like to tell you about Growing Data. Growing Data is a consultancy that helps organizations unlock the full potential of their data. They work with some of Australia's most successful organizations from finance. They work with people like ANZ Bank, through to biotechnology, companies like CSL, and all the way to construction, working with companies like Metrocon. They help these and many more companies solve their most challenging data-related problems in analytics, machine learning, data engineering, and data governance. While I was at ANZ Bank, I got the pleasure to work with the team at Growing Data, and I can tell you for a fact they are top-notch. I highly recommend Growing Data. Find out more at growingdata.com.au. Also, a big thank you to Talent Insights. Talent Insights are Australia's leading data specialist recruitment business. They are experts in recruitment strategy and delivery for analytics and data teams. They are the go-to recruitment business for all your data roles in Australia, and they can help both with permanent hires and short-term project-focused data resources. I've used Talent Insights in the past, and I've always found them fantastic to work with. Visit them at talentinsights.com.au. Hi, this is Felipe Flores, and welcome to a very exciting first episode of a new series for here in Data Futurology. We are partnering with She Loves Data, and we're very excited to bring you together a new series called She Leads, Getting Real About Leading with Diversity and Data. And today I have the co-founders of She Loves Data, which is Jana, Marle, Zizkova, and Pavel Bulowski. Guys, thank you so much for making the time. I am so excited about our conversation. How are you guys going?
All good. Thank you for inviting us to collaborate on this series. We all know that more women are needed in technology, data, and analytics. But what can we do as leaders in this field to promote gender balance? This series will explore all the aspects of leadership, bias, strategies to promote diversity in tech industry. I am, together with the entire She Loves Data team, excited to co-host this series with Data Futurology and set a new benchmark for leading with diversity.
I absolutely love it. Diversity is such an important topic, something that's needed so much in today's data scene, in today's tech scene. Thank you so much for your collaboration. I'm so excited to bring this to reality together. How are you feeling, Pavel?
Good morning from Europe. It's a early morning, so slightly different start of my day than usual, but exciting to be here. I think we have been doing a lot of groundwork. Not necessarily me so much as I mean the entire team behind Chila's Data. We will get into who these people are for sure later. But so to bring it to more people is, I think, an important part of our mission, and we really want to spread the idea. So I couldn't be happier to be here.
Same here. So I guess to kick things off, tell me a little bit about the motivation behind She Loves Data. How did it start? What was the trigger that put you guys to start it, and what was some of the early days like?
Yeah, let me start, because Pavel and I, we've been having a constant discussions about the lack of talent in the data industry and in tech. And, everywhere we went, we talked to our clients, and asking them what their issues were regarding, consolidated data and working with data. And they always started with lack of talent. So we looked at, what are the opportunities to help those organizations to get the, so needed data skilled people. And we said that, look, there is only like 25% of women in this field. So how about to go out there and inspire women to look at data as a possible future career? Mm-hmm. So what we did to, I would say, walk the talk, we organized one-day workshop after a hackathon that we organized in a spare time, where we had like 90% of men, registered. And we said, let's create environment that's gonna be completely judgment-free for women to come in and learn. And if you say data, it's hard to start. Where do you start? Where do you go? What do you learn? So we said, okay, let's put together some content that we feel is important as a data literacy kind of base. And let's try to see if someone is interested. And we were very surprised when we put it out there on social media. Pavel is our, digital marketing guru. And when we came back, after a long weekend, we saw we had close to 500 women registered. So we were like, oh, wow.
Wow, that's for the first one.
Yeah, so we squeezed as many as women we could into the room, and we get such a good feedback from them as attendees, but as well from our partners. We actually partnered with Yellowfin, our BI tool partner, based in Australia. Yes. And they told us, hey guys, you need to come here, come to Australia. So we felt maybe there is not such a need in, a mature place like Australia, but turned out that the need is everywhere. So that were our humble beginning, where we were traveling around and setting up, workshops, and always being in a beginning surprised how many people showed up.
Definitely, that it shows that the need is definitely there, but the interest is there as well. How did you guys choose what to include in the first workshops, and then how did that evolve as time went on with the demand and the interest? It's amazing to be onto such a winner from the beginning. How did things evolve with more participants going through?
So I think I can take this one. This was really interesting, and we've iterated on the content a lot. And one of the things we would have seen is that if you look around, we've done obviously a little bit of research, and just to add on to what Jana was saying about the start, it was really obvious that these type of organization, as having a background in Europe, it's a fairly mature movement in most European countries. You have these kind of industry volunteering organizations that drive this, whether it's coding, whether it's data, whether it's other aspects of industries which are typically very, very men dominated, but we really haven't seen anything like this in Southeast Asia, specifically where we are based in Singapore at the time, right? So this was kind of a little bit of an eye opener. And when we started, the one realization, and I think this is huge factor in why our courses had such a great feedback always, and were always so important, is that when we look at what's in the market, it's typically these, you have these data science bootcamp and start coding in Python, but I think before you start learning to code in Python respectfully, people can learn that for sure. Like, you need to have some sort of basic awareness. You need to understand what is a database, very, very basic stuff, where a database can live, for example. That's a really, really the groundwork. And we have designed the course for, basically, we said that the benchmark is that people should be able to use open Excel, understand how those fields work a little bit, and work with their computer, but no other tech prerequisite. And this is really what was the kind of the launching point for people to bridge that career track they've had for 15, 20 years to go into something that's completely uncharted territory for them. And I think this is needed in other similar initiatives as well.
What I love about that is that you are changing people's complete life trajectory by lowering the barriers to entry into something that they can find their passion and that they can find their interest in, and something that, as you were saying, that when somebody wants to jump into data science, it's intimidating. And there's so many resources out there. I've met so many people that they're like, I'd love to know more, but I don't even know where to start. And as an industry, we are missing out on that talent. We're missing out on those people, and you are able to help them come in such a seamless and natural way by bringing down the barriers to entry and and understanding. Start them where they are, and then bring them to the level that is going to help them out in the future. I love that. I'm sure like you guys would get so much energy from saying how the lives of these women has been transformed. How do you guys feel about it now after a few years of doing this?
Well, the other day we had a video session with some of the members and volunteers from the She Loves Data community, and I have to say the stories we've heard, you get a goosebump sometimes, because it really has a profound impact on people's lives. We saw people who were in HR consulting, who after our 1 day of workshop intro to data, quit their jobs and actually applied for MBA in business analytics. And now this lady is working as a data engineer, which is amazing. There was this one lady who came here, and she told us the story that she came to one of our workshops and listened to data. And she was actually coming from a large MNC organization. She was in her late 50s, and then she was retrenched. And then she said, what do I do now? I need to kind of spend my career. So she came there. She was almost worried that she's going to be there sitting with just the girls, so there's as well like diversity ageism. Age is a big thing. And she said, I came to all of your, workshops that were available. And then I continued study because you pointed us out to other, places where we can gain knowledge and upskill ourselves. And now she is a lecturer and educator, and she has a completely new career. And her story got me almost, it touched me. And we hear stories like that. We are not so good yet at collecting those stories. So we're starting now, because we want to inspire other, women out there and people out there, not only women. It's never late to change career. It's never late to learn about tech and data, because it can help you, for your future career, your jobs, and it maybe make your, life more meaningful.
100%. Helping people see a path and then helping them believe in themselves. Just the effect that has on their lives is amazing. And tell me, you mentioned helping people in data and in tech. What made you choose data specifically to start off with? Why did you go with She Loves Data as the name and the brand and the focus?
Pavel, you want to go?
Sure. We obviously, Jana and I have been working in data for a while, more on the kind of a business consulting side. We've started Jana has much longer story than I do in this industry. But we have started working together at a social media analytics company where we have met, and obviously this is all about data. Then we've started our own business, which was consultancy around reporting, data engineering, analytics, all of that, typically oriented to marketing. And now we run a software company focused and centered around customer data. So that's obviously this is kind of our daily bread and butter. And we felt that this focus is needed because when you do something that's too broad, it's you probably won't make as much of an impact. And I think there was the natural link between our kind of 95% of our day and what we want to focus on. I think reflecting on it, what's really interesting to me is that typically you don't really see people building a business from 2 people onwards and upwards, and starting a software team in parallel with that, and building a business like that, and focusing a lot on, I would not really call this a philanthropy, but more of a kind of a community volunteering work. It's usually, if you look at my obviously a huge role model in this place would be Bill Gates, and if you look at what he did, he spends 50 years of his life making a lot of money, and then he spends the other 50 giving it away. But I think this path of splitting your time and energy early on is a significantly more challenging. So this has been really interesting, and I have to say it's sometimes challenging to strike the right balance, because obviously these two things keep pulling you to each other, and obviously sometimes you have to focus on business a little bit more. So I think we make a good balance with that with Jana, and try to find it always.
Oh man, I'm so impressed with not only the balance that you guys achieved, but the accomplishments that you guys have on both of the sides. So hearing a little bit about the story on your business, like, you guys have a multinational software company that is helping people with their customer data to solve problems that people couldn't solve before. That alone is amazing. And then on top of that, you've got She Loves Data. So impressive. I'm so impressed. And I know that Jana, that you're recently included, and I need to say, like, massive congratulations, but also very well deserved that you were included recently in the inaugural Singapore Top 100 Women in Tech list. How does that feel? How does that make you think about your career so far? What does it make you feel most proud of? And what do you see as what do you think about the future looking forward? Congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's been a huge honor, and I have to say I'm thrilled and very proud to be on that list. Being here in Singapore and not having a big name, big brand behind you, and still be featured with those amazing, inspiring, 99 other women that have done so many exciting things in tech and data. It's a huge reward, but not only for me personally. I think it's a reward to my co-founders, Pavel, the entire Meiro team, because we work on something that is relevant, that makes sense out there. But as well, I think She Loves Data plays a huge part in this being placed on this list, because I think upskilling, in the world where technology is moving so fast, and the skill set gap is widening, basically. She Loves Data is a movement that is seen as a hope for some people that they can come there. It's it's free of charge. We don't charge. It's a place where you can meet like-minded individuals, and you can, as you said, earlier, it's hard to start to code, and where do you even start? That's what we established, right? And in She Loves Data community, there are, subgroups of people that are studying together, some online courses, so they can meet and they can discuss, what this means, and they can, it's almost like a big data tribe and community, but yes, there are, sub-tribes, and this is fantastic to see. So, I think a combination on having a tech startup, I know what it means, what people are struggling out there when you are running your own business. And, with supporting women aside of that is sometimes when you have a down and you wake up in the morning, there is a purpose to have, and there's this purpose is driving you so well because, that you are touching other people's lives. And that's a fantastic goal. So our goal is to make Meiro successful, to grow and scale, not only in APAC. Our focus is now, to be successful in Europe and other continents. And with She Loves Data, we hope that today we are in 14 countries. We have 14 chapters in 13 countries.
Wow.
And we upskilled, with the offline events, around 6,500, 7,000 women until the beginning of this year. But now, since April, when we turned everything online, we managed to upskill over 7,000 women, or, they came to our workshops and, they are following us. So that's an incredible change for everyone. So our goal is to reach out to so many women out there as possible. And now with, the online activities, it's much easier. So we are opening new countries, new chapters, and so we want to grow and reach out to everyone out there who is ready to upskill herself, himself, because we have a hashtag He Loves Data too. So we want to be more inclusive as we go. And we want to basically as well focus on create environment where these women can come together and learn. But then we as well want to make sure that we don't keep them, just within the one gender. It's important to go out there and, have your experience, with everyone in a normal world. And I think this is important as well regarding the list of 100, women in tech in Singapore. My hope is that there will be no need for those type of lists in the future, that there will be lists just simply with leaders in tech, because there will be so many role models for women out there that they can go out and they can see, hey, anything is possible because she made that and she is a leader there, she's a CEO there. I can do it then as well. So we hope that we inspire the generations of, girls and women that are leaving universities now, and they will see more women out there. So they take this path. And if we achieve, at least a little bit this, then we've done a good job, I feel. So a lot to do still.
I think you guys are doing an amazing job. Definitely, I want you to keep going and do as much as possible. But I definitely recognize that what you've done so far is incredible. And that's 13,000 people, more than 13,000 people that have gone through your workshops, your courses, your mentoring. That is incredible. Pavel, tell me about how things change for you in She Loves Data with COVID, transitioning from the offline events to the online events. How was that transition? And then tell me about the growth in numbers as a result of that move. How was that experience for you guys?
You know what? I do have this kind of a parallel where running a business with a small team and then being part of this volunteering initiative where it's a large group. I think it's important to say before we go there, just to set the scene for people to see how we are structured, right? Like Jana mentioned, the 14 chapters who kind of organize things locally. So now it's changed dramatically because everyone is fighting for the spot on the same roster, which has become a global. So while the local initiatives are great and amazing, it's all the content. You see that with the podcast series, right? Like you have an audience globally, so it's a kind of a same thing for us, and it requires a little bit of an adjustment and a shift. There is, I think, what we need to say is we don't have any full-time team members within She Loves Data. It's all purely volunteering basis. This is, I think, and I will talk about it later. This is where we would like to get in future. We see absolutely the need to go there. So it's organizing and coordinating a lot of really, really amazing people in the local chapters and in the kind of a main group that supports the team locally from Singapore, who is doing a lot of really, really amazing stuff. And it's been, I think we all really like the I don't remember the name, but the kind of stage name is Marketunist. Yeah, those little cartoons about marketing, and that was the really the best one in a couple months ago about what's driving, who really is the driver behind the digital transformation. It's not the CMO, it's not the CEO, it's the COVID, yeah. So I think that was really, really accurate, and for us, obviously the same here. So we have this infrastructure and templates for organizing offline events and partners with venues and sponsors for that. Checklists, stuff that you can scale there really easily and onboard new countries into that. And suddenly it's blackout overnight, and we have to move into doing everything in a digital space. So we took a couple of months to basically see where this situation is going to evolve, how is it going to look like. Obviously, not having a full-time team, we can't react to these things so fast. So we wanted to see what this is going to evolve into, and clearly this type of a situation is here to stay with us for I think foreseeable future. So we've started adjusting to it. I think kind of 2-3 months in, where we said we need to turn what we used to do offline into online, and basically had additional people coming on board into the main team in Singapore. And there's an amazing group who's doing stuff that I just can't comprehend how they still maintain day jobs and still do what they do. A lot of weekends, a lot of late nights. So shout out to the girls in Singapore and other countries we have around the world, but it's been challenging. So basically we have had to become all masters in digital marketing, communications, and running technology for webinars, and it's not been easy. But I think it's obviously these times where there's a little bit extra pressure, where you learn most. So personally as well, it's been a bit learning. I think for speaking for most of the people on the team, and we still struggle with stuff. Like we are just now pushing out a new website, and that in itself is a project that you could spend hours and days on, and when you have usually 5-10 minutes in a day, it's not ideal. So it's personally for me, it's a bit frustrating that I see that with a little bit more resource we could do so much more, and not having it is obviously a constraint. But in that constraint, you need to find creative ways how to still achieve most of what you have. So it's an experience.
For sure. But the fact that you guys have been able to do such amazing work with voluntary organization, it goes to show that you have tapped into a need that people really want, and you have captured people's hearts and minds for them to want to see She Loves Data to continue to grow and to snowball, so you can bring the value and the benefit that they want to be able to bring it to other people through their involvement in the organization. And I think that's a really good segue, because I wanted to ask you about what's coming up next for She Loves Data. Like what's coming in the future, and also if you can include in there how can people help, how can people get involved, and how can they be part of the vision and the next stage, and what's coming down the line for She Loves Data.
So we have a lot of plans, and as Pavel rightly said, we had a lot of learnings, and I have to give really credit to the volunteering team here in Singapore. They basically formed, within a few weeks, a global operational support, for Zoom webinars, and we had months where we did, 12, 13 webinars, which is
Wow.
incredible.
Wow.
And yeah, exactly. And this is where, the help starts. We do work with large brands and organizations that can support us in terms of, bringing some good topics. So we have 3 main focuses. One is data and tech. And this is everything from our, intro to data signature workshop. We are focusing on data visualization, because what we see that if people are coming, from various different industries, the data storytelling, how you work with data and how you explain it is really popular. So we work with a lot of BI tools where we, hands-on session explain how you build dashboards, how you think about hypothesis, the measures and KPIs you show, what are the do's and don'ts of data visualizations and these type of topics. Then we are working a lot on explaining and demystifying different buzzwords, what is machine learning, what is artificial intelligence, and what is not. How do you work, as Pavel mentioned, how do you work with databases? How do you structure your data? So how do you prepare it for analysis? We now lately are tapping into a coding. We usually just did, entry-level coding to show people, especially with SQL, that look, it's not a rocket science. You just need to apply logic. So don't be intimidated when someone says like coding. Yeah. But now lately we ran a webinar with ThoughtWorks, and it was organized by our amazing Melbourne chapter. And we had over 900 people registered. But then we had a breakup rooms, and we had about 50 instructors, so that people really had a hands-on experience online. And it was a 3-hour session, which saw over 300 attendees. So we are very picky about the content. We want to keep it, this interactive. We want to keep it relevant and high quality. So organizations like ThoughtWorks, like, various different software vendors, social media out there, they help us to supply the relevant topics and instructors. So we work with them. And we are looking for sponsors, because as Pavel said, we need to be a little bit more organized. We are looking for maybe paying 2-3 people that run this show, because with 70 plus volunteers around the globe, it's starting to be a organization, basically, Yeah. And we need to be a little bit more structured. And we have a lot of projects that organizations, like financial institutions or telcos, they come to us and they say, can you help us to upskill our workforce? Mm-hmm. And we want to take on those commercial, projects, because it's important to tie in those organizations and change their mindset, because they need to keep their workforce relevant, and they need to build their, a certain level of data and digital literacy. So that's as well something we want to definitely explore, be a little bit more like a social enterprise, and help organizations out there. We are as well working with brands out there to help them to hire more diverse future employees. And as well, we consult and talk to HR managers to say, how do you need to change your hiring procedures so you are ready for this diverse workforce? So those are our plans. We want to do more data academies where we do certifications. We work with like TIPCO to set it up. And yeah, we have so many exciting projects, but the overall goal is, who feels the way we did when we started. Look, we were a small startup, and we said, if we can invest the money and our time into helping people upskill. So it's not only that you touch on people's lives and they have a better, more relevant careers, future-proofed careers, but as well you help the economy, because these people will be hired for so important, data-related jobs. And then those organizations will do better data-driven, way to run their business, and it's going to have an impact on local economies. And it's bigger than us. And if we were able to do it, and we set aside, together with our co-founders of Meiro, we set aside quite some money to say, like, we will support it, because in the first 2 years we just basically sponsored it ourselves. Wow. And it was worth it. It's really a great initiative. So if there are organizations out there that have, social goals to work on diversity, to work on data literacy, digital literacy, that they want to actually change it, so please let us know, and we will be happy to work with them. We need like-minded organizations and individuals to help us on the way to scale and to grow.
And the benefit for the organizations is tremendous, because they have people who know their organization and their domain area really well. So they're the domain experts, and essentially by you helping them upskill those people with the data components, then you have these people that can already that will be ready to make data-driven decisions across the entire business and really be able to lift up the efficiency and the trajectory that company can see into the future, and that we'll be able to achieve. So the components, they're more than the sum of the parts when you put them together. The experience that those people have in their domain and in their company, plus the data knowledge and data literacy, tremendous opportunity for organizations to work with you to help their workforce. For the software vendors, I mean, I like they huge opportunity for them to be involved in this type of social enterprise that can make a difference in so many people's lives, and get in, early in the journey of these new wave of data professionals. And from an HR component, the hiring component, I have seen firsthand the amount of difference in hiring practices that is required to really tap into this type of market and be able to get the talent that will make a difference in organizations. And I think that's something that a lot of HR professionals are starting to realize, and they are looking for places to help them with that. And She Loves Data is a fantastic one. Across any of those three future initiatives, is there any early progress or any examples that you guys could share about what is happening or what could happen across any of those three?
Well, you want to go?
Sure. Sorry. Yeah. Look, I kind of wanted to also comment on the HR aspect you were mentioning. So for me, why this matters is there are two practicalities. Like I really like when this doesn't stay in a kind of a corporate PR and CSR space where, well, we are an inclusive company, just because we put up a poster. When you look at the practical benefits, if you are hiring within the existing talent pool, and there are stats about more women, kind of over time, more women entering university level programs in data science, but less women graduating out of them. That's an interesting thing that often gets omitted, which means less of them are entering a workplace. So that's number one alarming stat, even though there are all of these initiatives. And I think importantly, we should say we always have from the very beginning focused on already working people. We said that from, if you are a university student, you are interested in this, take a course. It's within your reach. You don't really need our help. Who needs our help is people who have been stuck in a career path for 10 years, don't think there is necessarily a very straightforward way out of it. The organizations where they work don't necessarily enable them to make the change because they are comfortable keeping them where they are, because they are a little cog in the system that works for them. So that's understandable from that perspective. But when you look at it from hiring, it's been some of the most sought after roles in the market are currently actually not so much data science anymore. It's more data engineering, funny enough. But and which is 80% of these newcomer data scientists don't really know what data engineering is, but they will learn the hard way. That's 80% of their work. So when you look at it from HR perspective, if you are really focusing on the existing market rather than broadening it, you are focusing on effectively 50% of the humanity. That's within your market category at the moment. So the smarter way of going about it is extending that rather than working on your positioning and how to make yourself stand out within that competitive marketplace. If you think of it as a market situation, right? That's a really critical from that hiring perspective. And then if you think from more, if you kind of go more on the data science side of things, if you look at it from a qualitative perspective, there's been dozens articles I've seen, and I do read quite a bit, coming in typically from US in last couple of years about bias in algorithms, right? And that's something that hinders the quality of your product. Essentially, if you are a company that relies on data science, this is directly connected to your P&L, because these algorithms make you money, and if they are designed by a homogeneous group of people, they inherently will include a bias. And if you have a smart composition of the team, you will avoid these biases, and therefore you will have a higher quality product. So I mean, from a economical standpoint, if you translate this into business, it just makes absolute sense to try to have as diverse teams, just for sake of more colorful, more in-depth conversations around these products when you are designing them, right? So that's something that I think we will have to work with, especially with the more growing and maturing markets as the global economy kind of is catching up. And not to use the Europe or US example all the time, I think we really focus on Southeast Asia, and there are other fundamental gaps that we still need to help bridge on the lower level. But I think this is something that needs to be taken in consideration. So look, I think in terms of initiatives that are ahead of us, I think we have a really big opportunity to do something incredible in working and building our partnership with organizations in recruitment specifically, just because we have this pool of people that are extremely engaged. This is not a mailing list of people who've downloaded the white paper. These are people who spend at least an hour of their time with us at some point in time, half of them in a person, and it was typically a full day. So we know them very well. We are able to kind of work in this area, and it's really just a matter of finding the right partners. I think that's the advantage and disadvantage here, is that what we do is largely driven by the right partners. So I think this is really just to kind of emphasize Jana's call for any type of a tech company consultancy out there who's looking to make some changes to how they have been doing things and help themselves effectively this way. I think we would really like them to reach out, And I would like to, if I may, throw that question back to you, because you know the Australian market in and out, and for us it's been one of the more engaged markets, and where we went on very early. So for us, we know it's really popular, and it's easy to get to people. But I would like to kind of know more from your experience, corporate and smaller companies as well. What's that experience been like? What does diversity mean in your personal experience?
No, man. Thanks. That's a fantastic question, because I've definitely, as a leader of a data science function and a hiring manager and building up these practices, I've come across a lot of the challenges that you have mentioned, and that She Loves Data is helping to solve in the market. And I particularly love the focus that you guys have on increasing the talent pool, because so many companies focus on fighting for the same piece of the pie. And your approach is saying there's lots of talented people, they want to get in, let's increase the size of the talent pool by making it easy and accessible for them. So I think that is fantastic, and it's definitely the way to increase the diversity in the industry, and to bring in new talented people that can help us, help our organizations get to the next level. From my personal experience, I've definitely made some blunders when it comes to diversity hiring, blunders that were unintentional, and that I luckily got really good. I got the right feedback that helped me learn from those blunders early on, a couple of jobs ago. So this is maybe six years ago. I was building up a team from scratch, and I was looking to hire 10 people at a time. And I put this job ad out, and I went and did a lot of presentations in meetups and universities, and was trying to get the word out. And we had 250 applicants, and it was about 42% female in the first round of applications. I was really happy with that. And then there was so many, 250 applications. So there's so many that what I did is I created a self-assessment survey. So I sent everyone an online survey for them to tell me about themselves. And then that way I would have the data that I could filter and mine and prioritize people. And so a good idea in principle. My execution, not the best, where some of the wording that I use in the survey, I got feedback later on, unfortunately not during the survey, but months later, I got the feedback that some of the wording that I use wasn't very inviting towards females. And what I mean is that I had a question, for example, it said, how good are you at Python programming? And the levels, I gave it a 1 to 5, but level 1 was, I know very little. And then level 5 said, I'm a gun. And that is just one example where, yeah, I know, right? Jana is laughing at me because it's such a terrible blunder. Like I made it with like the best intentions. And what happened is that from the original 250 applicants with 42% female, we went down to 120 people filled out the survey, so 50%, almost 50% drop. But the percentage of females went from 42% to 11%.
I'm not surprised.
Right? Terrible. And as I moved on with that hiring round, the proportion, the gender breakdown followed the same distribution as that 120. So out of 120 people, I ended up hiring 10 people. It was 11% females in the 120 people. I ended up hiring 1 female and 9 men for that team in that round. A couple months later, as I met people who I knew who had applied, and most females that I knew didn't fill out the self-assessment survey, so I went back to them and I asked them why that was the case, and I ended up speaking to about 6, 7, maybe 8 of them, and in a conversation they said to me, they said, the language it wasn't helpful. The words that you were using, it wasn't something that they said, it wasn't something that I felt comfortable evaluating myself like that. So that was a really important lesson. And one of the women that ended up applying for the second round of hires that I did during that team, which it was also 10 people that I was looking to hire in the second round. One of the women that applied and came through that second round ended up finding some online tools, some online startups that help you, that analyze your text and tell you how gender biased you are towards different ways. And I used it in the second time. And as a result, was able to get a much more balanced team through the hiring process. I think so I felt that in my career, I definitely had to be deliberate about it, about fostering diversity, because of the benefits, but as you said, that the benefits for the team are amazing. But what I didn't expect, in my case, by having so many blind spots, just my own personal experience gave me blind spots that made me create errors and blunders in the diversity journey, even when I was trying to do the right thing. So I think it's important to talk about those errors. And one of the reasons why I mentioned this story is because your blind spots can keep some of the best talent away from working in your teams and in your organizations. And the more that we talk about it, we can uncover these blind spots for other people and hopefully get more diverse working environments across the industry and to be able to see the value that these technologies can bring. But definitely a tough area.
But to add on your story, to make you feel maybe a little bit better about that, is as well that what we hear a lot from, the members of the community is that women, when they go to interviews and they go there with a man who has exactly the same knowledge, and when they are asked, how would you kind of feel that, you fit on scale 1 to 10? So the woman says like, I'm like 5'6", and the guy says like, I'm 9, almost 10. And they have exactly the same, skill set. And I think this is as well like something that the hiring process needs to take into consideration that women, they don't even actually apply for the jobs if they don't feel that they can score almost 100% of all those bullet points, like, this is what we need. Whereas guys, they go like, I know, hey, I can score on 60% here, maybe 50, but like I can learn the rest, so I go there. So we women, we are having this kind of perfectionist approach to seeking a jobs. And until we know something almost 100%, we would not even actually go to that interview. And I think this needs to change. And that's the next thing what we are talking about, is how do we basically connect, the hiring managers and the processes and the community that is out there, and how can we bridge this gap, and how both sides to understand that there are changes needed, for a future diverse hiring and the diverse workforce.
Yeah.
So true. Sorry, Pavel, you go.
Great story. Thanks for sharing that. It's fantastic to hear like a personal anecdotes like that. And I would just comment on that. I think it's partly connected with how we also are changing as an organization a little bit, because I get this question a lot, like, why do we need more women in data analytics? And the answer typically that this alludes is that then they must be better than data analysts than men. And it's not that they are better, they are just different. And the second question usually is that, and obviously we still need more people in as a talent to broaden the talent pool. So that's what we are working on. But the second question I always get is that, what's the difference between men analysts and a women analysts, female? The answer from my perspective is very simple. It's one word. It's a confidence. It's you throw a problem to two people in your team, same problem, and you can run your language gender neutrality assessment on it, and you can make it perfectly politically correct in organizations, and that's fine. But you throw the same problem to two people, inevitably, and this is obviously a gross generalization, like an average guy will tell you, sure, we'll look into it, we'll do it, like we'll find a way. And the usual female analyst answer, I would say the average would be, maybe we can look into it, and I will try. But that's kind of that's a big difference in a response from two people, right? Who are potentially competing for the same job. So that's different. And I think what has to happen here, we need to, and that's really the important message. We need to create a space where we are meeting in the middle, where yes, you were totally right by saying you went back and you've revised this, you reviewed how you wrote it and all of that. But I think also it can't be one-sided. We can't just keep leveling the playing field to the ground from the top, but we also have to rise it from the bottom to top. So meaning we really are trying to kind of boost confidence in women, that to show them that their skills are enough often to apply for these jobs and to do these projects, and that's super important. Some of the kind of new additions, and I think they had the relatively warm reception in our audience. Some of the latest things we have added in last year or so were soft skills, and I am not a soft skill person. I do have my own gaps in that, and I think this is really more than anything appreciated, because this is really a part of it, and whether it's communication, whether it's coaching, whether it's how to mentor people. I think all of these things are incredibly important. It's data analytics is not just about learning to code. It's not about learning to chart a dashboard and build visualization. I think it's a lot more than that, and this is something which we realized recently in last year or so, and we've been trying to kind of build it into the curriculum and into the content mix. So yeah.
Man, that's amazing. Yeah, I agree, and it's so interesting because completely in line with what you're saying, and it's so interesting that one of the things that I've changed now in my recruitment process is to have a technical test up front that asks all the applicants to rate themselves. It asks them, how good do you think you are at SQL, for example? And then it gives them a few questions on SQL. So then you can see people that think that they're really good, but they're actually not so good, and people who think they're not very good, but they actually are. really good, and I can see the gender differences in their perception of their skills and that confidence, as you say. Having an objective measure of their technical skills helps in have that conversation. When I interview people, I always tell them, I was like, you're better than what you think in this area, and with that sort of step has helped me. And then as a pre-step to that, definitely focusing on publicizing roles and the team in communities and in areas that over-index in the diversity that we need in the team, and definitely women is one of those big ones, because the diverse teams are the teams that are going to that make organizations really skyrocket, and will continue to do that in the future. So I think these conversations that we're going to have over the next few weeks are going to be amazing. I think I know that I'm going to be learning so much from you guys, and I'm really looking forward to exploring this, the industry and the issues and what we can improve, exploring that with you guys and getting your perspectives. But sorry, Pavel, I cut you off. What were you going to say? Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I had one last question for you, and I'm totally aware that we are almost running out of time here. So we are also going to be sharing this series and Data Futurology as a podcast with our community quite a bit. So, and it may not be a medium that a lot of our audience will know. So I wanted to ask you, what you think are number one, like what even drove you to start it, and why? The why is always an interesting question, but I would also like to, if you could pinpoint maybe 2 or 3 episodes from everything you have done in the past, where someone who is new to your podcast, where do you think the ladies from our community, or not just ladies, anyone from our community should start with the podcast? What would be the best episodes that you think are there to begin with?
Oh man, great questions. So the initial why behind Data Futurology came from the aim is to help data scientists and data analysts to move into leadership roles, or to think more as leaders that can create change in organizations or in their communities. That was the initial and still is the main intent. Well, and by focusing kind of like on this juncture or overlap between what's leadership and what is data science, the audience has grown to include people who come from both of those worlds. So sometimes we have a lot of sort of business people that have moved into management roles, into executive roles, that have an interest in artificial intelligence and the possibilities, and they form a large part of the listener base, as well as people that come from a technical perspective, that are data analysts, data scientists, and that would like to be creating more impact and more change, either in their organizations or their communities. And the idea of Data Futurology is to bring them the stories of people who are doing things like that, so they can see what is possible. We talk about interesting applications of machine learning and AI in different industries, so people can get ideas of what they can apply in their own world. And we focus a lot on things like the imposter syndrome and how and the mistakes and the failures in the journey, and how people were able to overcome that, and the fact that a mistake, even if it's a big mistake, it doesn't define you as a person, it doesn't define your career, and that you can build up from there. And in the end, people who are able to persevere, then they turn that around. That mistake becomes a massive asset and a massive learning in the longer term horizon. And part of the focus of Data Futurology is to help people that they might feel like they're in a slump today, but hearing how other people that had a slump years ago made the best of that time, and how it really accelerated their career, or it helped them achieve something new, or go in a direction that is more beneficial for them today. Those are the stories that I'm really keen to share week after week, speaking with the leaders and executives in the data analytics space from around the world. And in terms of episodes, Man, I can tell you, I've been really lucky to have some amazing female leaders in the podcast, and like hats off to all of them. And some of the latest ones, we had Eliza, who is this is episode 133. She is the head of data science at AFL, which is a big sport in Australia, and it's a sport that traditionally had been seen that is very important and mostly male dominated. And in the last couple of years, they started a female league. And now that organization has a female head of data science. And Eliza came on the show to tell us about her journey and how she got there. The episode before that was with Jean Holm, who is the chief data officer for the city of Los Angeles. And Jane has done wonders with what can be seen as a small team in the data analytics space. She's done magic, and what she's been able to do so well is leverage relationships and create a community where her team is the almost like data stewards for different organizations in the city. And they can tap into the talent of all of Los Angeles and interact with people from all over the city, from universities, from companies, people volunteering, and they bring in their analytical talent into the organization like that. And one other one that there's so many that I've enjoyed, but one that I was really impressed with was episode 120, which was with Catherine Havasi, and she came out of MIT, and she was a researcher at MIT doing natural language processing, and Catherine is on to her second or third company that she's co-founded and led. And for the first one or two, she sits on the board, and she's now the CEO of this a new venture she started this year. And I've been impressed in how she's extremely technically knowledgeable and writes some of the most advanced papers in the field. And then she's also running companies that can bring this academic research into commercial reality. And it's all. The world of possibilities and what people can do is amazing. And that's why I love the work that you guys do through She Loves Data, because you are helping bring more amazing and talented people into our industry by helping them acquire these skills that they can get with the help of organizations like yours. So guys, like I cannot thank you enough for the work that you guys do. And I'm so looking forward to this series. I think it's going to be incredible.
Thank you. We are really thrilled to be here. And I think you mentioned, these female leaders. What we try to do is to feature the female leaders, not only in tech. So I think this is going to be so relevant for the community. Thanks a lot for having us.